Welcome to Mission Matters Live. I am Megan Mio, Director of the Global Mission Office. This is part 2 of a conversation with Sister Paësie, the founder of the Kizito Family, a religious community that ministers with the children of the Cité-Soleil district, the largest slum in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. The Kizito family manages 7 safe homes that welcome orphaned, abandoned, and needy children, as well as 8 free schools and other ministries as well we've been talking about in the first part of our discussion to meet the needs, the hunger needs of the community and other kinds of sharing of the faith, catechism, and other ministries of that nature. So Sister Paësie, you must be affected by the dangers. You know, we were talking about the reality of life, particularly in Cité-Soleil. And you yourself, you're a French religious sister who's come into Haiti, although you've been there many years now. You must face danger and trauma all around you, and the traumas that the children have experienced and that they share with you in these homes where they live and in the schools. So I wonder, you know, what keeps you going in this work? I wondered about your spiritual life too, that must be very, very strong.
So what keeps me going? I think the strength of the call, as I said. When Jesus gives a mission, he also gives the grace you need. And I have not been living in fear, even though, yes, it's true, in the midst of many dangers. And, you know, like if there is crossfire, we don't walk in the middle of the street, we kind of shelter. Sure. But I cannot say I've been living in fear. My spiritual life, I mean, surely that's very important to remain connected to the Lord. And so we have a time of adoration every morning, a silent adoration, and then we have Holy Mass, and then we have adoration again in the afternoon, often with the children in the afternoon, and the scripture reading, and you know, everything that makes up a religious life, you know, traditional religious life. But yeah, it's what keeps me going. I just think it's the Lord, and also the children, you know, just to see their smile when they arrive in the school in the morning, just that is kind of very strengthening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Their joy, their energy.
Yes.
They're welcoming to you, they're happy to see you.
Yes, and they're happy to be in the school. I mean, it's already a victory just to be there for them in the morning.
Yes. Yeah, small victories, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's a long road, and so, yeah, I think that kids, the idea that they have enough to eat, that was one big thing I know we talked about in the first segment, but that they have a safe place to be, a place where people there want for their good, want them to grow, want them to grow in what they will become, what their potential may be as adults eventually. I'm sure is a major gift that they receive. Where do you find Jesus Christ? Have you met Jesus, as we say, encountered Christ in this ministry? Can you share with us some stories?
Well, I think we can say Jesus is, the meeting with Jesus is within, but you know, he speaks even in the call, he speaks from within. And yeah, his grace is all around, but yeah, very, very clearly in the poorest of the poor. I mean, this was Mother Teresa's charism also, to recognize him in the poorest. I had an experience once, that was when I was a missionary of charity, because I had told Jesus once in prayer that I would like to see his eyes, you know, physically, like what his look would look like. I said, I know I'm going to see you in heaven, but I like to see that before. And once there was a very, very sick baby I was taking care of. And you know how intently babies can, you know, look at you straight in the eyes. But that particular day, I suddenly remembered that request I had addressed to Jesus, and then I said, okay, now I'm satisfied, I've seen you. I really felt I saw his his eyes in that child. So, but to answer your question, I think I see Jesus also in the way he's present to the people. Maybe to explain that, I would tell you one story of my meeting a woman who had come to the convent, and she had come because she had a sick child. So we spent a few minutes discussing and seeing how she could get that child to see a doctor. And then after, she also spoke to me about another child she had, was going to a school, and when she didn't pay the school fees, so the school had sent away the child. So I spoke about that a little bit. And for whatever reason, I asked her, because I am aware that many of these mothers, they have been victims of sexual violence during the attacks from the gangs on their area, particularly where that woman was coming from. So I asked her, what about you? Have you been victim of violence? And she kind of went like, yes. And then she went on to tell me a terrible story. She had been gang raped, and she cried a little bit as she was telling me that. And then, before I knew it, she's speaking again about the sick child. And it's like the conversation went back on the children. And that really struck me, because it's like the needs of the children and the poverty itself is like more violent than even sexual violence. And also the fact that they are living in the present moment.
Right.
Today, okay, this happened, it was in the past. Today the child is hungry, and this kind of, I think it's kind of a therapy to be in the present. And the grace of God also is in the present moment. But what struck me most, even beside the fact that she went back to speaking about the children, is that it was a peace in her voice, incredible peace. When she finished telling me that story of the rape, she just said, God knows. Bon Dieu connaît in Creole. Bon Dieu connaît. God knows. And she was just so peaceful, incredibly peaceful. And in that peace, I sense the presence of Jesus. Even in this worst, this is one of the worst possible thing you can. A woman who has been victim like that, plus she doesn't have food to feed her children, but yet she can be that peaceful. So for me, it's like you could really touch the presence of Jesus. He's there with her, strengthening her and giving her that peace.
Absolutely.
And one day in my prayer, I was praying for peace. And I was kind of telling the Lord, I'm getting tired of asking you for peace. There is war all over the place, and more violence in Haiti, and we go on praying for peace. I was kind of complaining to Jesus, and then I felt he answered me, I give you peace. Like I have given you peace. And it was like, look at you, isn't that peace in you? And I said, actually, yes, I am feeling peaceful within, and I see these people, even though, sometimes you have to run from place to place, but when they finish running, there is a peace in them. So I really understood that day better, that what he means when he says, not as the world give the peace, do I give you my peace, but that peace is there.
Yes.
And I wish, as I am speaking, that even those who are listening to me can receive some of this peace.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'm struck by what you shared earlier about your own kind of, in a sense, determination to become a missionary sister. You knew this, you have this certainty, and you knew you wanted to work with Mother Teresa, and then it became clear to you, you were called. God wants you to work with the children of Haiti. You founded your new community, the Kizito Family, in order to do that. And that it hasn't even crossed your mind that you might ever leave Haiti. That this is like, this certainty that God has given you is a form of peace, perhaps. There's nothing that could deter you from continuing to do this work. And that these mothers, there's nothing that could deter them from caring for their children, even any experience of violence or trauma that they may have experienced in their lives. They set it aside so that they can focus on the most important thing. That is a peace that God gives, to show that love, to be in the present moment, as you say, caring for one another, and especially the most vulnerable, the children and the babies.
And I think also, like, behind that peace, there is also that trust that they have, that trust in God. This also, I have another story on that illustrates that. Is after the earthquake, I met people, the big earthquake of 2010, where thousands of people were killed. I met people who were just recovering the bodies of their children from under the rubble. And I met this man who told me what had happened. But at the end of the conversation, he told me, Bon Dieu connaît, God knows. With that a peaceful voice that struck me. And I went over to a woman who also had lost 2 of her children. And after speaking with her a little while, she says, God knows. And I heard this God knows so many times, and I felt it was like they wanted at that very moment when they were, victims, they chose that moment to profess their faith. But I know God is here, and not just that He's here, but that He is good, and I keep trusting Him. So that's what I've heard many times in Haiti, and really has strengthened my faith. Yeah.
The communities, it has shown Christ to you, has strengthened your faith and evangelized you in the midst of your own work of evangelization. I've heard many missionaries speak about that they meet Christ, that they find Christ in their work, and that they do find at times that they must be the hands and feet of Christ as well in their service. It's always kind of a little bit of both in missionary work, I'm sure, for you as well. So we're in the Jubilee year of hope. And I know we've already been talking about some wonderful, joyful things, some, deep faith that you've encountered in Haiti. I wonder if you can share with us some stories of hope, of people who surprised you, children who showed great promise.
Well, the stories I've shared about this trust, trust and hope goes together. But surely the children in the catechism centers, for example, we have now about 25, I would say, of our young catechists who had been themselves kids in the catechism center. So just the fact that they received something, they received the faith, received the sacraments, and kept coming faithfully to Mass, and then they are able now to teach younger ones. This is an example of hope. Sure. And in other ways also, I have this little boy who used to go out and dig into the trash to get things to sell, Giulio. So he was registered in the school, and his teacher told me she noticed him coming with his brand new books, school books. So she kind of said, "Oh, very good, Giulio, your mom bought you your books." And then he went like, "No, I bought my books," because he bought them with his work. Yes. And then she kind of said, "Okay, very good, take care of the books now, don't let them get dirty," and so on. But then she said the next day she saw him coming again with new books, and he gave the books to a child in the class. And she noticed that he did that several days in a row. So he was actually going out to work in the afternoon to get money and buying books for children who were not having any in his own classroom. Amazing. So this is an example of a child who is really very, very poor. I mean, what to go to dig into the trash to eat and survive, and he was able to think about the others in his own classroom.
Beautiful. Yes, great generosity. A beautiful thing. You had mentioned too some amazing stories about even some of the gang leaders who have really surprise you with their sort of Christian values as well, ironically.
Yeah, I mean, you meet all kinds of people actually in the gangs, and like when we walk by them in the streets, very often they would ask us for prayers. Once a gang member, he came with his little boy to the catechism center, and he wanted to register the child for catechism. And then he told me, I don't want him to become like me, so please will you take him for catechism? That's what he said. I didn't ask him any explanation, but he felt the need of, saying that. And another time we had this, one of my catechists, he was a young boy, he was driving into Cité-Soleil on a motorbike to go to do the instruction for the young mothers for the baptism of the children. But he was stopped by a group of gang members who pointed their guns to him and demanded money from him. So he stopped, and he didn't have a choice. And when he told them, he said, I don't have any money on me, I'm going for catechism. So they were kind of angry, like, what is catechism? So since they asked the question, he answered, he said, well, these are mothers who want their children to be baptized, and so they are following instruction. And one of them, another one, interrupted him and said, we also have kids, why can't they be baptized? They also should be baptized. Yeah. So then he said, for the baptism of the babies, the parents follow the instruction. So in your case, it's going to be complicated. And another one from the same group found a solution. He said, well, the mothers could come. So the catechist said, yes, the mothers could come. And then they were kind of demanding, so, okay, but when? When?
Let's go,
where?
let's get this figured out.
Yeah, give us a date. So he did give them a date. And when the day came, there was like 40 young women who came, and they were all girls who had children with these guys.
Oh my goodness.
And the appointment was 6 a.m. because it's the weekday masses are at 6. It's very early in Haiti. So it was 6 a.m. mass and then instruction after mass. And they came and they kept coming for the 3 months instruction. And then we had the baptism for about 80 children, and some of their dads were also there outside the church in their suit, but they were gang members. So many of the young boys, they get into the gangs because of poverty, even sometimes just hunger, but it doesn't mean that they are all utterly, evil, even though some are. But I'm convinced that if they had a way out, many of them would choose another way of life.
Yeah.
Another time also we were driving in these big yellow buses like you have in the US. We were driving with a group of children. This was the time when we could still go out into the countryside, even though there were already some gangs stopping the drivers and demanding money. So we came to one of these places, and the gang, they stopped the driver, and the driver gave him some money. But then, after, the guy who had taken the money, he was holding his gun, and he was holding the money, and he kind of peeped into the window of the bus to see who was inside. And I was kind of scared, because sometimes we also do kidnappings there.
Sure.
And I was sitting in the bus, and there were like the kids all over me. And then he looked at me and he said, oh, sister, so many kids. Take this. And he handed some money to me. He said, you'll need it. Maybe buy drinks for the children, he said. And then he made sign to the driver to go. So I said, thank you, God bless you. And I took back the money from the...
My goodness. Yeah, you're like, I don't know what to think in this moment, but it's a gift, we receive it. That's amazing. I do feel like, I'm not surprised to hear you say that so many would say, I'd rather not live this life. They know that this is not what God wants for them.
They live in fear, and they did not really choose. Many of them did not really choose. It's like...
survival. Yeah, at this point. So you've shared with us some amazing, incredible, and some very beautiful, touching stories about children and families in Haiti that you work with. I wonder, is there something else that you haven't already shared that you'd like us here in Chicago in the United States? What would you like us to know about your ministry in Haiti?
Well, I'd say two things. When I spoke about the trust and the peace that people have deep in their heart, I often think of that grace of God in the present moment, because everybody has some suffering, some stressful situation, some conflicts in the families or whatever, and just as Jesus is there for these poor people in the middle of the shooting and of the violence there, I mean, Jesus is here also for people living in Chicago. Sure. And just to be open to receive that grace that Jesus wants to give, especially in the moment of pain or suffering. Loss. And because he said it and he doesn't lie, he said, my peace I give you. So, receive that peace. That's what I like to say. But about my ministry and the ministry of the Kizito family, we do need a lot of help. Spiritually, it's a spiritual battle because we do evangelization. So, of course, there are many obstacles. And so one thing people can do is just pray. Pray for that ministry, pray for the children and the catechists.
Yes, and people can learn more about the Kizito family if they go to your website, correct?
Oh yeah, we do have a website, so Kizito Family. So there is a US-based non-profit, which is also called Kizito Family, which was began not many years ago, and so they do help us, and they are the one set up that website, so you can get contact on.
Sure, yeah, there's articles about your phone call with the Pope and other kinds of news pieces, updates about projects and things that are going on. This is a way that folks can donate if they choose to as well.
Yes. And
learn more about who they're praying for and this reality and the folks that you work with. I often say with those I meet here, especially those like yourself who have made this lifelong commitment to be a missionary, live outside your home country in a place where there is a great need. Everybody might not be called to that life, You had that determination and that clarity early in life. Other folks, you said we have all kinds of cares in our lives, many different responsibilities. You might not be able to leave everything and go to Haiti, but you can pray. You can learn about the people that you're praying for and to consider them and their needs and their hopes and dreams, and that God's presence is there as well. And then if you're able to give as well, and you can make a big difference. This is what it means to be each one of us are missionary disciples in that way.
And you can also even get involved in being in the US with that non-profit, like become a voice for the voiceless by joining the board. I mean, they are small. They began in Paësie, but they do need to create outreach in other cities. So it can also be in that way, while remaining in the US, but joining the Kizito Family USA. It can also be a way of serving the children in Haiti.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that, because that is how we came to be connected, is your friends through the Kizito Family USA. Talked with me in my office, and we heard about you visiting, and we wanted to have you here. So thank you very much to those who helped us make that happen. So thank you very much, Sister Paësie. This was amazing. It's so wonderful to hear stories of hope and joy out of Haiti, and it is a source of hope to know that someone like yourself is ministering there, continuing to be the voice for the voiceless and the presence of God in Haiti. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and it was an opportunity for me also to come to Chicago. Now Chicago became world famous with our new Pope.
We're very lucky. Everybody wants to come here. So yes, thank you very much. It was wonderful to have you. Thank you. And thank you for listening, for watching, folks. I invite you always to be on mission. Thank you. Bye-bye.